We've all seen how inflation is crushing Americans today. The Consumer Price Index is saying that from October 2020 to October 21, the inflation rate in the United States rose 6.2%. And it happens to really be hitting everyday household budgets really hard. That's because milk is up 17%, eggs are up 42%, energy services up 11%. You've all seen gas prices, but what if you even want to buy a new car? Well, in less than 1 year, the average price for a new car has gone up $5,000. Then if you go look at homes as well, the average home sale price went from $384,000 to $454,000 in 1 year. That's a jump of $70,000. That means unless you're making an extra $70,000 this year, you are being priced out of the United States very quickly by this inflation. And you know it because your dollar is losing your buying power in the United States. For every dollar you're spending, you're getting fewer eggs and less milk. And this brings me to the first reason why you should move to Mexico during the inflationary period in the United States. It's that you can use a form of currency arbitrage. That is, if you are able to work online, make your money in US dollars, you can turn around, flip them into pesos, and be spending in Mexican pesos. So earn in USD, spend in Mexican pesos. You're not losing out quite as much on inflationary rates. Now, that's not to say that there's no inflation in Mexico. There is, and in fact, the inflation has been mimicking the United States here in Mexico. It's about at the same rate over the past year. However, the lower cost of living in Mexico kind of washes it all out and makes it much more easy to afford. For example, eggs down here for a dozen are still $1.25. You can also find a new vehicle for much cheaper down here as well. They certainly haven't risen by $5,000 in the past year, and while the makes and the models down here can be a little bit different, there's still a lot of high quality vehicles that you can buy in Mexico. And that rolls right over into home and condo prices as well. I was in Cancun a few months ago and saw some really nice condos for less than $30,000. Where are you going to find that in the United States? I don't think it's really possible. So there are a lot of benefits to living the nomad lifestyle, leaving the United States, coming to Mexico during this inflationary period. And number one is that you get to pick your cost of living. You don't have to live by the American cost of living anymore. You can find a lot of places with really low rent. Prices for local groceries are really affordable. That doesn't even include the restaurant options here, which are much better than in the United States, not just in terms of quality and flavor, but also in cost too. You know, in the United States, if you want to go out for a $20 meal, you're stuck going to a place like Applebee's. Whereas if you're in Mexico and you got $20 to spend, you could probably go out to a 5-star restaurant and get something. So another thing to consider is that a lot of the services in Mexico are just less expensive too. So while you could easily spend $50 to $100 a month on a cell phone bill in the United States, down here I'm spending about $10 a month to get the same level of service. And that'll also roll over into, getting internet or nannies or childcare, buying physical labor or anything like that. It's all much less expensive down here in Mexico than compared to the US. Let's also look at the transportation costs around Mexico. Now, you could easily get on one of their ADO buses, which can take you all the way across the country for $20, $30, something like that, on a really nice air-conditioned bus that's got a toilet in the back and all of that. Compared to Greyhound in the US, it's much less expensive for the same type of service. The public transportation here is also really cheap. You can get on the colectivos or a bus for 50 cents or less. You can find taxis that are just a couple dollars to get all the way across the city. There's also things like Uber and Didi down here. Not everywhere, but you can still find them. And compared to the US, again, much less expensive to use. And even if we're not looking at the inflationary rates in the United States and how much everything is going up in cost, we can still move to Mexico for a lot of other things that will improve our life, like the better weather, for example. I'm from Michigan, so 6 months of winter really sucks. I really like living on the ocean. There's nicer people down here. Americans are a lot more testy. There's a lot of road rage. There's a lot of anger going on in the country right now. And I just don't find that when I'm down in Mexico. People just feel a lot more relaxed and laid back. And it's also a higher standard of living here, I find. And now, while you could find a place that's really, really cheap and super affordable, that's kind of just like a little rat hole to live in. If you're spending, $500 a month on rent here, you're going to get a really nice house compared to what you can get in the United States, which we've talked about in other videos is, at least $700 a month for a crappy apartment in most places. And then that's not to mention even all the culture and the festivals that you can do down here. Now in the United States, we have our festivals too. We have St. Patrick's Day, we have Halloween. It's mostly just getting drunk. Whereas where you can come down here to a place like this and you can enjoy holidays like Dia de los Muertos, where yeah, you can still go out and get good and drunk. It's a whole different feel here than what it is in the United States. So if you want to move to Mexico, then just click on this playlist right here. It's got everything you need to know.